You are listening to the Maple Footy Podcast. This is the unofficial football podcast of the North. I'm your host, Sam Little. Find me at official Sam Little on Instagram. There's nothing left to say except for sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the show.
Hello, yes, welcome back to another episode of the Maple Footy Podcast, and this time we are, of course, covering Canada's Nations League quarterfinal against Suriname, which brought about some very good news, I would say. Quickly, before we start, no Maple Footy start this time out, not a whole ton of Canadian news to kind of update you on, as most of our boys are either done in the MLS or with the team if they are still have their MLS season going, or CPL is also done, and then a good few of our boys are here who play in Europe. So not a whole ton to update you on in that aspect of it. So the quickest Maple start I think we've had in a long time, probably ever since I've started doing it. But yeah, so the good news for Canada is obviously 3-0 win against Suriname. Very convincing, I would say. Good game as well. Pretty back and forth at times. Suriname never really tested us all that much, like shot-wise. But I do think that they caused us a few headaches a couple of times. But yeah, Canada has the quality. We kind of knew what we had to do and get it done. And that win brings us to the semifinals, which will be played in March in LA, I believe it was, SoFi Stadium. We need to get that moved. I don't have great history supporting anybody at SoFi Stadium, so really hope we get that moved. That, or hopefully my curse breaks. Anyways, we will be playing Mexico in the semifinal, and the winner of that plays the winner of USA and I believe, is it Honduras? It could be Honduras. I think it's Honduras. But anyways, this win also guarantees us that we will be playing at the 2025 Gold Cup. So yeah, big times coming up. So our chase, I think is what they're branding, our chase for the trophy, a trophy, is still very much on. And hopefully, as I kind of mentioned in my last podcast, hopefully we get 2 of 2. I think we definitely need 1 next year. Like I said, ideally 2, but if we can get 1, I think that's a big achievement and definitely something to help push us forward going into the 2026 World Cup. But yeah, I think it'll be hopefully a very good year coming up, as this was our last international break. I know people don't really tend to like international breaks, and I do feel for the players because it's a lot of games for them and a lot of travel, especially for our boys, say in Europe, coming from, Germany, France, England, wherever to Canada. It's a lot of travel, but I am, of course, upset about it because watching them is some of my favorite stuff to watch and some of my favorite stuff to talk about. So it's a shame it's over, but I had an idea today of potentially doing a 2024 Canada wrap up, and the more I think about it, the more I'm gonna do it. It'll probably take place towards the end of the year as a nice little way to put a little bow on 2024 and the first year of the Maple Footy Podcast. So the more I think about it, the more I'm probably gonna do it. And like I said, it'll be towards the end of the year, just as everybody will be releasing probably wrap-ups of 2024 regardless of genre of anything, probably movies, music, football, other football, hockey, whatever, you name it. I'm sure that other people will be doing that, so why not let me hop on that. But yeah, anyways, let's kind of move into, you kind of know the format by now, positives, pros, cons, and then moving into player by player from goalkeeper all the way to subs. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So positives, I was at the game, which was a lot of fun. I thought it was a great game. It was long overdue, I think. I've been wanting to go see our boys, but it never lined up, whether I was just not in Canada or had other obligations that kind of kept me away from going. Would obviously still watch the games from home, but nothing beats being there, and I thought it was a lot of fun. especially because they did win. It was a good night. And yeah, just overall really happy I got to be there. So that's a pro. That's a pro. We'll chuck it in there. Pro. The Maple Footy podcast host was at the game. But a real pro is kind of, as I mentioned, job's done, at least for now, to get to Gold Cup and, of course, the semifinals. Brings us closer to both trophies. And as I've said, I do think that we need a trophy going into the World Cup, preferably two, but definitely one. And I think it's definitely just shows that the program is now expecting trophies, which even 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we'd still be kind of going like, oh, well, maybe one day we might. Whereas now it's kind of expected that I think we need to be coming out of 2025 with a trophy. Crazy to be like, yeah, coming out 2025. Yeah, we're not even done 2024, and we're already talking about 2025 and 2026. Oh my gosh, time is crazy. But yeah, no, I think that that's a massive positive. And just our overall, I think, play was just really good. I thought we looked a little bit shell-shocked by how decent Suriname looked for a little bit, but I do really think that we kept composed, and they're top professionals, our boys. They know how to grind these results out against teams that they should be beating. And kind of once that first goal goes in from Jonathan David, was there ever a doubt after that? I mean, even after the first, I think it was pretty much 90%. We felt like job was done. And then Jonathan David gets the first goal in this game, and once 1-0 on the night, 2-0 on aggregate, you're kind of going, yeah, it's going to take something special. And then, Schaffelberg gets one and then another. It's expected, I think, and it's good that they delivered on that expectation. So now deliver on the expectation of getting us a trophy, please. Oh my gosh, I won't shut up if Canada wins a trophy next year. But apart from that, I thought even some of the guys that rotated in, I thought they looked good. Kamal Miller started, Chouanier started, and oh my gosh, Kyle Larin. I was like, I'm blanking on someone. Kyle Larin started, and I think that they, once again, all great professionals. So it's not surprising that they stepped in, they stepped up. But yeah, still, always those like, oh, how are they going to perform? They sat on the bench the last game, whereas now they're starting. They're all great professionals, so not a shock that they did well. But yeah, our negatives moving into that, I think same issues kind of plagued us. We looked overrun in the midfield at times, as I went into great depths during the Copa America run as to what I think we could do. So maybe go on and check those out. Relive our Copa run. But yeah, just kind of, it feels like we're overrun at times. And against, no disrespect to Suriname, but against kind of higher quality competition, I do feel like we're gonna struggle if we can't figure that out. And we have faced some top competition and have, kept been in the game and been good, but there comes a point where it's like we can't just be in the game, we have to be winning games. So obviously we win here, but say, against even the States or Mexico in the Nations League and then Gold Cup, they will take advantage. They will. They have quality. I know that none of us want to admit it, but they do have quality. So we have to really, I think, sort out our overrunnedness in the midfield, because we have a very good midfield. We have great players in our midfield. So it's not that we don't have the tools in the toolbox. We do. I think we just have to use them. And I'm sure Jesse Marsh will figure something out. And another con is, once again, no shocker here, finishing. Our finishing is not as good as it should be. That game probably could have been 6 or 7 if we're being honest. And we leave 3-0, which is still a good result. Of course it is. But once again, against higher level competition, as I've said before, it will cost us. And as I said during the Copa, it cost us against Argentina mainly, where we don't finish our chances. And even in that third place Uruguay game, but we don't finish our chances, and then it comes back to haunt us against the higher level opposition. And that's what separates us from being a good team to being a great or elite team, is we're not taking the chances that we should. We need to punish when we are on top, and we need to punish when we get these chances. And despite our plethora of attacking talent, we are struggling, I find, to be really making teams pay and getting the score lines that we probably deserve and should be leaving with. Because yes, 3-0 is definitely a very good score line, but when it could be probably double, you kind of sit there and go, ugh, do you know what I mean? But yeah, enough about the pros and cons. Let's move player by player and let us talk about some of the boys. So in goal was again Dane St. Clair, which I love Maxime Crepeau, right? But I do think Dane St. Clair is the right call right now. He's in top form. He's been one of the best players in the MLS Cup playoffs. He's been playing regularly all season, and Maxime Crepeau did great for us at the Copa America and had a good season in his own right, but he hasn't played now for a month? When did Portland go out? They went out early in the play. They went out first round of the playoffs. I just can't remember the exact date. It was definitely October. So he hasn't played in like a month, and he kind of lost the starting spot even during the playoff, their one playoff game. He lost his starting spot, and to put in Dane St. Clair, I think, like I said in the last episode, kind of shows that Jesse Marsch is kind of a man of his word of whichever goalkeeper's in the better form is the goalkeeper I'm going to use. And right now, that's Dane St. Clair. He didn't have much to do on the night, of course. I think he made like one real save. So, on the night, it doesn't really end up mattering. But yeah, I think right now, Dane St. Clair is the right call. And, come back to us during the Nations League. It could be Max Crepeau again, or it could be Dane St. Clair again. Or it could be someone else. You never know how quickly the game moves. But right now, Dane St. Clair is the right choice. I do still love Maxime Crepeau, but right now, Dane St. Clair is the right choice. But sadly, much like last episode, I don't have much to say on his actual performance because I don't think he was really tested. Sorry, Dane. I do think that you're a quality goalkeeper, and I really hope that you win the MLS Cup. So, but yeah, moving into our back line, we'll start with 50 cap man, Alistair Johnston. Oh, that reminds me. I forgot to make a note of this. Before the game, I really liked how during our last international break, we did something similar where we congratulated David Davies and Lorea on their 50 caps, Stefan Eustachio for his 2023 Player of the Year award, because that was our first time back in Toronto after all those achievements were garnered. So similarly, Alistair Johnston and Junior Hoylett were celebrated before the game, got a nice little trophy thing for 50 caps. It was a great little gesture, and two guys I've given a lot to our program, and definitely well-earned respect and trophy, I would say. And then, of course, Ishmael Kone gets the 2023 Young Player of the Year award, kind of like Eustachio. Yes, it's extremely late to give it to him, but it's his first time back in Canada. Well, I don't know if he's been to Canada since 2023, but it was first time in Canada during an international break, I should say. I don't know his personal life. Me and Ishmael don't talk like that, But yeah, no, so I just thought it was a really nice gesture. I love when we do that and give these guys an accolade, some respect. It makes us feel more legit, you know what I mean? Whereas it feels Alistair Johnston, Junior Hoylett, they deserve that trophy statue thing that they got. I don't really know exactly what it was, but yeah, whatever it was, they definitely deserve that. And Ishmael Kone, I mean, who else was it going to be? I think that's his second year in a row winning it, but I'm not sure he'll be able to get it this year because he's now 22, so I think that the cutoff might be 21, but I could be wrong on that. Some Young Player of the Year awards they're all different. Some are U21 and some are U23, and so who knows? We'll see next year who wins the one for this year. But anyways, circling back, Alistair Johnston, I thought he had a very good game. He gave the ball away a few times, and I think against once again, no disrespect to Suriname, but against higher level opposition, I think he gets caught there. But I thought defensively, winning the ball back, he was very good. got like studs up at one point, almost scissor kicked in the leg, and he didn't even fall over. Like, that just shows like the type of player and just guy that Alistair Johnston is. He's just such a dog. And you're at BMO and you just know how much the crowd loves him. He's just a good old fashioned like right back, no nonsense, and it's just so easy to love the guy. You know what I mean? He's a top player and seems like a top guy. And even moving away from defensively, I think attackingly, he was a great attackingly. Is that a word? I don't know. Either way, he was a great outlet for Ali Ahmed. I thought that's both games now. I've thought that these two have linked up really well together. Alistair Johnson really likes to overlap on Ahmed, or like the inside run or inverting. I really think that they work really well together, and it's just good to see that we have guys that link up well together. But yeah, he whipped in a couple dangerous balls into the box. He was always, like I said, an outlet, and yeah, I just thought he had a very solid game. Like I said, gave the ball away a couple of times, but it never ended up punishing us. But yeah, I thought he's Alistair Johnston. You know what I mean? He's that guy. Moving over to the left, I thought Richie Laryea had a great game. Potentially, if it wasn't for Jacob Schaffelberg, I could have given him like a man of the match shout, because I thought Richie Laryea was class. He was very good, because before the game I was really hoping to see Sam Adekubi, because I do love Adekubi. And Laryea, his season's done in the MLS. Maybe they'll give him a little bit of a break and let Adekubi kind of have a run out, but they didn't. They stuck with Laryea, and that's okay. Once again, as I've said before, great headaches to have when you have these conversations of, oh man, Davies is out. Okay, we can play Laryea or we can play Adekubi or whoever else, and it's just a great headache to have. But yeah, no, Richie Laryea, I thought he was very good. He didn't put a foot wrong defensively. I found he was him and Becker. I think it was Becker. Let me just double check that. Yeah, him and Becker had a very good battle, and a couple of times maybe a little bit chippy. But I mean, that's how Laryea plays, right? He'll draw the fouls, which he did a lot of on the day as well. A couple of fouls that weren't called that probably should have been called on him as well, so it could have been even more fouls drawn. But yeah, he was drawing a lot of fouls in dangerous areas, and like I said, not a foot wrong defensively. He won, it felt like everything. I'm sure the stats would prove me wrong on that, but as you know, on the Maple Footy podcast, stats be friggin' damned. Watch the damn game. But yeah, I felt like he won like every battle and was just always in the right position when he needed to be, whether it was defensively or on the attacking side, because his quick passes to Schaffelberg were causing problems all night long for Suriname. The balls over the top that he played for Schaffelberg, and we know how quick Schaffelberg is. He runs onto them, gets them, and does his thing. But just a very good performance from Richie Laryea. I love Laryea, so I was really happy to see him thriving out there. But yeah, very good performance. Just classic Richie Laryea play, and just such a good player. I absolutely love watching him. So, like I said, if it wasn't for Schaffelberg, he probably would have been my man of the match. Moving into the center back positions, national treasure Moise Bombito was robbed of his first goal. I don't know. I didn't see the replays. They didn't show it in the stadium when his goal got called back. I know that there was some pushing and shoving going on in the box, so who knows, maybe it was the right call. But in my head and in my heart, Moise Bombito was robbed of his first goal for the national team. And oh boy, he's deserved it, because he's such a good player. Seeing him in person just elevated my stocks of him even more, I think. Like, I already thought very highly of him, but now seeing him in person, like, yeah, he's even better. His positional awareness is far beyond someone who's only been playing for about 2 years professionally. I know he played before that, obviously, but professionally, I think, what are we, year 2, maybe 3 of Moise Bombito? And his positional awareness is great, because it's well documented how great his recovery pace is and speed is. But even when that's not needed and he's just in the right spot, he knows where to be. A forward on Suriname, never got the wrong side of Bombito. He always had them in check. He always knew where he was, where his players were, and where the Suriname players were. And for someone, like I said, who has not been pro for long, it was absolutely astounding to see how mature he was. And I mean, I went to go see the game with a few people. My dad was one of them, and so he's a Liverpool fan, right? And he said that like Bombito reminded him of Van Dijk, and I thought that was just very interesting because Caldwell during the last international break said Bombito was reminding him of Van Dijk. So he's got shades of these great defenders. We know Marsh is compared to some very good defenders as well in Ibrahim Konate and Upamecano, just to name a few. These are guys that Jesse Marsh is coach, and he says Bombito's right up there. And after seeing him in person, yeah, believe the Bombito hype, because I mean, I was on the train before seeing him in person, but now I'm fully on. Like, I'm not leaving. Like, my stop passed and I'm still on. Like, they're telling me to go. Like, they're telling me to get off. My stop is here, and I'm saying no. I'm with Bombito on this, because yeah, just such a class player, and it was so great getting to see him in person, because he really showed a different level of just how good he is. So this guy's going to the very top, knock on wood, that, you know, injuries stay out of his life and all that terrible stuff that follows these guys in the game. But yeah, if all things go to plan, he's going to the very top, and Nice have an absolute player on their hands. I mean, Canada fans love him, Nice fans love him, I'm sure Rapids fans love him, and whoever he ends up playing for during his career, I think will absolutely adore him. He's so good. He is really so good. And then, of course, partnering Bombito in the center back position was Kamal Miller, who I was extremely happy about, because I thought Waterman had a good game. He stepped in well for Derek Cornelius last time out, but I just love Kamal Miller. I've been a fan of him since he burst onto the scene with Canada, and I've been rooting for his success ever since. So I was so happy to see Kamal Miller playing and getting the shout here, because I think he's earned it. He's done a lot for this program and is still a very good player. So I was very happy to see him, and oh my gosh, what a warrior he is, because about 2 to 3 minutes into the game, he went down holding his knee, and I think the feeling in the stadium was that he was probably coming off. He didn't look great, but eventually he gets the treatment and, you know, shakes it off, runs it off, and then towards the end of the second half, he gets cut open, and they need to wrap his head. He was not having a good time, and then before he went off, once again, something, I don't know what the last one was, I just saw him kind of go down, and then he was coming off, I think, anyways, but then he was pulled off. So I haven't seen any updates either, so I'm gonna hope and assume it's not that. Hopefully not serious, but yeah, just what a friggin' warrior. That's my number 4. That's my center back. Just kind of epitomizes what he will do for this country. And he made a great Instagram post on his Instagram, just saying like something about along the lines of nothing I wouldn't do for my country. And I think it just sums up the brotherhood and just the pride that these boys have wearing the red and the badge on their chest when it comes to the national team, because, you know, some guys would have come off. Kamal doesn't. And it just shows, like I said, how much the national team means to these boys, and obviously to Kamal. But I thought he had a good game. He looked rusty at times. I will say that. He did look rusty. I mean, he hasn't played consistent football for a good few months now, because the Copa happened. He was in and out, kind of got a couple chances during the Copa, kind of didn't, just because Bombito and Cornelius were doing so well, and then comes back after that in and out of the Portland lineup for the remainder of the season, and then of course now starting this game. So obviously a little bit rusty and hasn't played in kind of like Corpo in about a month. So his first real starting game in a month, plus add on everything I just said, and he did look a little bit rusty, but I still thought it was a solid game. Him and Bombito, I thought, looked good together. Kamal still links up well with Larea, as we've seen in the past for the national team, and his distribution, I think, is still quite good. He he likes to kind of quarterback the ball, kind of like Cornelius and Bombito can, which I think Marsh appreciates. And yeah, a couple of times ball didn't find its man, or, he was maybe second best in a foot race. But come on, it's Kamal Miller. We friggin' love him. And like I said, just an absolute warrior. But yeah, he made some good tackles on the night, made some big blocks, and got the assist on our first goal. So I thought it was a very good night and a good showing for Kamal Miller. It, to me, shows that if and when Cornelius and or Bombito can't potentially play, I think it just shows that we do have the depth and quality, like a guy like a Kamal Miller or Joel Waterman. It does show that these boys can step in and step up when called upon. And I mean, Kamal Miller, it shouldn't be surprising because he's done it for Canada for the last 5 years since he's been a regular in the national team. So yeah, we just love seeing Kamal Miller. So I'm glad he got to play, and I'm glad that hopefully he's okay and none of the injuries are serious or long lasting. Moving into the midfield, we'll start with our captain on the night, Stefan Eustáquio. And for me, it wasn't his best performance. I don't think it was as good as his one against Suriname in the first leg. It just felt like he was giving the ball away a lot. He made some good recoveries, I will say that. Defensively, I think he was helping chip in a lot, which I think that kind of shows the size of Stefan Eustáquio's game, where he can distribute and kind of sit back and help defend. I thought he was defending quite well. He was, like I said, winning the ball back, kind of nipping in on some tackles and whatnot. But yeah, his distribution wasn't great. And in a game where it looks like we're getting overrun the midfield, that's where you kind of want Eustáquio to kind of help calm things down and kind of grab control of the game again. And it never really felt like he was the one doing it, where I think we would have wanted him to be the one doing it. It just, like I said, he was giving the ball away a lot, but yeah, helped out defensively. And, they can't all be your best game, but yeah, just wasn't as good as his first leg performance. And I'm sure once he goes back to Porto and is playing at Porto, and then come the March international breaks, he'll be good again. But I will give a quick little nice moment, because in training, all the boys wore. Eustáquio was Canada's Hats for Hope ambassador. He provided the boys with Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada hats to wear during one of the training sessions, and I just think that's an unbelievably great gesture. So sometimes things are bigger than the sport, I think, and doing something like that shows the type of guy that we have in our locker room, and who we are privileged enough to call our vice captain and, of course, our captain on the night. So Eustáquio is, he's a gem of a player, but it seems like a gem of a human being as well. So I thought that was great. I saw that a couple days ago on social media, and I just wanted to bring it up. And since I'm talking about Eustáquio right now, I figured I'd bring it up. So yeah, just a great gesture from Eustáquio. And like I said, it goes to show you the guy that he is, and the leader, and the type of man that he is. So absolutely, some things are just bigger than the sport, and just my hat's off to Stefan Eustáquio. Moving on from Stefan Eustáquio and talking about Mathieu Choinière, who got the start over Ishmael Kone, which I wasn't too surprised about. I figured if Kone started one game in the window, he wouldn't be starting the other, of course, coming back from the ankle injuries and everything. It was nice to see Choinière, because he hasn't really done anything necessarily to lose the spot that I think he's really stepped into very well in Kone's absence. But yeah, it was just nice to see that he kind of got that start. I think he's earned it. And as I said kind of previously, and have been saying, it's nice to have these headaches of, do we play Ishmael Kone or do we play Mathieu Choinière? Two very good players, and it's just very nice. But kind of like Eustáquio, I found that Choinière kind of struggled to really assert himself on the game, and kind of was finding himself a little bit overrun in the midfield as well. He wasn't, like, neither of our midfielders were terrible, I thought, but just kind of got overrun a little bit. And a lot of our success was coming from out wide, building from the back, but building from the back and moving out wide is where I found all of our success was coming from. Chouanier and Eustachio kind of didn't have their greatest of runouts for the team, I would say. And I don't have a whole bunch more to say. I thought they both covered a lot of ground and definitely helped out defensively, but yeah, a lot of our success didn't really come through them, and I found that they were overrun a little bit, which, as I've touched on before, I think that's an issue that has kind of followed us over the last year or so-ish, at least this year of internationals. But moving into Ali Ahmed, I thought he had a very good game, once again stepping into that right wing, mid, whatever you want to call it, spot, and I thought he was very good. I really did. He's, like I've said before, an explosive winger. He's very tricky. I thought that Alistair Johnston and him, like I said, for Johnston, linked up very well. They understand each other, I think, because there was times where Ali Ahmed would find himself in a pocket of space and Johnston would see him and quickly give him a pass, or vice versa. And it just kind of shows the chemistry that this team kind of has and is building. And it's just very nice to see that, because we're not so used to that up here in the north. So it's very good to see, and just for a guy to burst onto the scene like Ali Ahmed has over the last couple of games and has really, really kind of made himself an exciting prospect for our team, and I'm sure a lot of clubs over in Europe. I mean, that's the rumor at least, but he's made himself a very exciting prospect, and yeah, just very creative on the ball, creative off the ball as well, works hard off the ball, has a very good work rate, and whips in a couple of nice crosses. Like I said, puts some nice passes through to Alistair Johnston, who would whip a cross in. So he was very involved on the night, and I thought it was a very good performance from him. Moving to the left, our brace boy, Jacob Schaffelberg. And I mean, what can be said that hasn't really kind of been said about his performance? I thought he was very good. I thought it was even taking away his 2 goals, I thought it was a very complete performance. He was really causing Suriname a lot of problems. And just his speed alone was, I think, really killing them. And then you add in his danger on the ball and the runs that he would make off the ball. They couldn't keep up, it really felt. And obviously he gets those 2 goals, both very well taken for different reasons. I mean, the first goal, I don't know what the keeper's doing, who made himself the number 1 enemy of the BMO crowd, by the way. He was not loved on the night. Some of his antics I don't think were too much appreciated by the BMO crowd. But yeah, he makes a mess of that first goal, and Schaffelberg just kind of says thanks and takes it into an open net and scores. And the second goal, I think, is a greatly worked goal. Kyle Larin puts in a beautiful ball for Schaffelberg to top it off, and Schaffelberg finds himself in acres of space. He's never, I don't think, missing that one. And he says thank you very much for the brace after that second goal. But yeah, even outside of the 2 goals, I found he was where he needed to be a lot of the time. Like I said, his runs from deep to then bursting with acceleration past the defense, I think, are such problem creators for teams that we face, because they just can't keep up with him, and he's so unpredictable. You don't know if he's gonna try to dance around you and get a shot off. You don't know if he's going to do an early cut in. You don't know if he's just going to play it back. He's going to sprint to the corner flag. He's such a wild card, and I think that's why Canadians have taken so fondly to Schaffelberg, because he's got that entertainment factor and the unpredictability factor to him. And I think it's just great to see a player like him really stepping in and coming into his own, and he's top class. I think Toronto FC are probably looking, going, oh my gosh, what do we get rid of for Lorenzo Insigne, of all people? Yeah, I went there. But yeah, no, it was a great game from Schaffelberg, and just such a positive night for him. Like I said, take away the 2 goals, and it's a great performance, and you add in the 2 goals, and yeah, man of the match, I think, quite comfortably. Moving up to the strikers. Wow, that's not how you say that. Moving up to the strikers, Kyle Larin, I thought, I think he offered a stable performance and, of course, grabs the assist. But, yeah, just a great outlet for Jonathan David. I think the two of them link up really well together. Kyle Larin serves as kind of the hold-up guy, whereas Jonathan David serves as like a playmaker. And both of them, are dangerous when it comes anywhere near the 18-yard box. Kyle Larin doesn't get a goal on the night, but does, of course, get the assist. It was a great play by Kyle Larin. And, I mean, he just knows how to use his body so well. He knows how to kind of cut almost defenders off from being able to get the ball. And it's an underrated, I think, attribute of his game, but definitely a very necessary one of his game. And he was doing it all night. He didn't really have many chances on the night, sadly. But yeah, no, just outside of that, I thought it was a solid performance from him. Not a classic Kyle Larin performance, I don't think, but definitely a very good one. And like I said, he brings out the best in the people around him, and I think that's one of the reasons why you put him in the team. And I mean, like I said, that he's capable of scoring. He's got 30 goals for the national team, so he knows how to find the back of the net, right? Like, we know that. So he just brings out the best around the guys around him. Schaffelberg getting to make those runs because Larin's dropping deep, or Jonathan David kind of finding Kyle Larin to try and create some chances. Ali Ahmed linking up with Larin. I could go on and on, but yeah, he's just such a mature and I think well-rounded player that doesn't really get the credit he deserves for being such a well-rounded player. Just because I think people just think he's given the ball in the 6-yard box and he'll score. I think he's more than that, and I think we're seeing that. And I think that's why Jesse Marsch is he's so quick to give Kyle Larin the start, because he may not score, a hat trick every game, but I think it's the things that he kind of does off the ball and helps those guys around him that I think really gets him the respect from Jesse Marsch and those starts from Jesse Marsch, and they're definitely 100% well-deserved. Moving into our other goal scorer that wasn't named Jacob Schaffelberg, Jonathan David. I mean, what more can be said about Jonathan David that hasn't been said? I mean, for me, the Concacaf player of 2024, probably the men's national team player of 2024. And he was playing once again as like a number 10-9 hybrid. On the day, he was everywhere on the pitch. There was times where he was getting the ball in the center back position and dictating the tempo and flow of the game. From there, he'd drop into like the number 10 position and play like a creative number 10, or he'd be in and around the box causing problems for the defenders. Just such a complete performance. And Jesse Marsch he's really found out how to play Jonathan David, and he's sorry, just thinking about some of the things Jonathan David was doing on the night. He was just everywhere. And once again, kind of like Kyle Larin, brings out the best in the players around him. And that was no different on this night, because, like I said, dropping back to be a center back, or dropping to become a number 10, number 8, or, of course, being that number 9 striker, he's got it all, So what a player we have on our hands, and just a top class player. Do you know what I mean? So a very good game, topped off with a nice goal, just a striker's goal, really, when you think about it. He's just there in the right spot in the box and says, "Thank you very much. That's my 31st for the national team." Takes him over Larin. Of course, they were tied before the game. Now it takes him one up on Larin to become the men's national team leading goal scorer. But yeah, let's move into these substitutes, as it was nice to see Ishmael Kone and Nico Sigur come in. Ishmael Kone, I thought, struggled kind of like Eustachio and Chouanier. We give him a little bit of a pass, being that he is a little bit rusty. But yeah, he looked a little bit rusty. He did, and I found he was getting overrun in the midfield. But not a terrible showing from him. I just don't think it was extremely notable from Ishmael Kone. Someone who I was happy about was Nico Sigur. That's his home debut. His first time playing for Canada in Canada. And yeah, this is the guy that rejected Croatia. So, I mean, seems like we hopefully, knock on wood, have a player on our hands, because I know he likes to play the central mid position, but he slotted at right back, which I believe that's his second cap. Of his caps that he's earned for Canada, he's played at right back. So, I mean, it is going to take a lot to dislodge Alistair Johnston from that right back if that is the play for Nico Sigur at the international level. I don't think it is. I do think he will probably move centrally. But he looked very good. He cut out some crosses from Suriname at points, recovered well a couple of times when Suriname kind of maybe got the better of him pace-wise, but he recovered really well. And yeah, I mean, only about 25-ish minutes. But yeah, I think it was a solid performance from him. There was one instance where him and Lairn linked up really well in the second half. Nico Sigur made a bursting run forward, plays a nice give and go with Kyle Lairn, and Nico Sigur nearly finds his first international goal for Canada, which I think would have been very nice to see. But yeah, no, I mean, it just shows how dynamic of a player he is, slotting in as a center midfielder, slotting into the right back spot and not looking out of place. So it just shows the depth that we have at the moment, and he's young, so I'm sure many more caps, knock on wood once again, many more caps will hopefully be in his future. Then in the 73rd, we brought on Jamie Knight-Labelle, who, congratulations, another player in 2024 that has made his debut for the men's national team. Could have been a Welsh player, but he's always dreamt of playing for Canada. His words, not mine. He's always dreamt of playing for Canada, so it's nice to see that he kind of, took the chance, and I think a quiet day for sure, but definitely a good one. He linked up well with Bombito. Shocker, right? But yeah, he linked up really well with Bombito. Wasn't really ever challenged a whole ton when it came to Suriname really putting in much. When he came on, the game was already 3-0. It was going to take a little bit to kind of mess that one up, I think. But yeah, no, I thought it was a very good performance from him. A nice little cameo, if you will. Then Tajon Buchanan came on with him, and kind of like Knight-Labelle, a nice cameo. Tajon will probably be extremely frustrated because he should have been, I love Tage, but this is going to kill me to say, he probably should have been leaving the game with definitely one goal, probably two. Junior Hoylett puts in a very nice ball for Buchanan, who can't get the header down, and then Jonathan David spots a great run by Tajon Buchanan, so credit where it's due, a great run by Tajon Buchanan, but he just doesn't have the finish on him. It was a bright cameo. He is rusty at the moment. I think that's only his second game back, and that's about not even 20 minutes in the tank for the season for him, because his only minutes have come in this international window. Hopefully he'll go to Inter and get some playing time, some substantial playing time this season, and we'll see the best of Tajon. Like I said, looked bright. He looked dangerous when he was on the ball. I think he'll be extremely frustrated that he's not leaving with a goal or two. But caused problems for the Suriname defense, created some chances as well, and made some nice runs. So it's not all negative, and I love Tay's show. It's never going to be all negative. But yeah, I think once he's kind of fully back and not as rusty, I think we'll once again see the best of Tajon Buchanan. Then our last two subs, Theo Bair came on and Junior Hoylett came on at the same time. And Theo Bair, I think, another one that maybe should have been leaving the game with a goal. I would have went crazy because I absolutely love Theo Bair, and it would have been his first international goal. Tajon put a very nice ball in for Theo Bair, but Bair doesn't control the shot. It goes over. Other than that, once again, Bair made some very nice runs, I found, was really stretching the back line of Suriname when he came in. Linked up well with Jonathan David, which I thought was very nice to see, because Bair is kind of fighting for a spot kind of behind David and Lairn, because we know that those two are most likely our starting strikers when fit and able to play. So kind of fighting for that first striker off the bench kind of role at the moment. But yeah, no, I think it was a positive performance from him. Kind of like a couple of our boys might be a little bit frustrated he doesn't leave the pitch with a goal, because he could have. But Yeah, no, I mean, his first international goal is coming. Hopefully, I can feel it. I can feel it, Theo Bear. I can feel it. It's coming. I'm supporting you, man. I'm with you. But yeah, no, sorry, I just hit the desk that I'm recording on. If you picked up on that, but yeah, I thought it was a positive performance. Only about 10 minutes, so not a whole ton to talk about for him. But yeah, positive performance. Junior Hoylett came on at the same time, and apart from creating a chance for Tajon Buchanan, wasn't his most eventful evening, wasn't as eventful as the one prior in Suriname where he got the winner, but he might be a little bit hard done by not leaving with an assist on the night. But I thought he looked positive when he was on the ball. And I mean, it's Junior Hoylett. You know what you're gonna get at this point, right? He's not as pacey as he once was, but his footballing IQ is still great. He knows where everybody is. He knows what he wants to do, and he's always a threat because he's just such a creative and tricky player. I really love Junior Hoylett, and for as long as he's able, I think that he should be in and amongst our international team because he is that good. It's not just like a call up for the sake of a call up. He is that good. He should be in amongst this team, and obviously, as long as Hoylett can stay fit whilst Liam Miller is out, I'm going to figure that Junior Hoylett will be getting those calls. But yeah, even once players are fit and everything, and of course, if Hoylett is fit, he should be getting these call-ups. I'm a big fan of his, and you could see his quality in his class. But yeah, with that being said, that kind of brings us to an end of this episode and an end of our international break and an end of Canadian coverage for the year. Like I said, I will probably be doing that episode. The more I kind of think about it, I think I want to do it. So I'll probably be doing that episode towards the end of the year of kind of a wrap up of Canadian football for the year. Just because, I mean, why not? Everyone does a wrap up at the end of the year, and I mean, getting an excuse to talk about these boys, I'll take it. So, another quick shout out for Jesse Marsch because that kind of brings to an end his final international window of this year, and he's building something here. I know a lot of people were very critical when we signed him to be the coach, and even I had my reservations, but at the moment he is looking like an absolute. He's looking like a gem at the moment. So he's doing something right, and please continue doing that, whatever it is, because he's got these boys believing, and he's got these boys playing very, very well. So, and he's really taken to the Canadian football and culture, which I think I appreciate just as much as what he's doing on the pitch because he's going out of his way to promote the CPL, the MLS boys as well. There are 3 representatives in the MLS. He's really going out of his way. Just today, congratulated Mauro Estacchio on becoming the York United head coach. You know, he doesn't have to do that, but he chooses to do that because he knows that people are watching Marsch. They're seeing what Marsch is saying and everything, what Marsch is supporting, what he's about. And if he's showing and is a proponent of these leagues, CPL, and of course our 3 MLS teams, it just, I think, adds some more respect and legitimacy to it. And he's been extremely vocal about developing Canadian players and everything since his time in being the international coach. So hopefully that continues in the following year. And hopefully that he continues our boys playing amazingly because they are right now. We're playing very good. I know I've had my gripes about maybe finishing chances or, you know, looking over on the midfield. But even so, with all that, I'm not sure I'd trade it in for anything at the moment, footballing wise, of course, because, you know, years ago, we weren't in games like this. We weren't going to semifinals. We weren't talking about a chase for a trophy. We were talking about, let's keep it close this one, boys. 4-0 loss, is that okay? That's pretty close. Like, it's so much different. And, you know, of course the groundwork was laid before Marsch, but he's really, I think, elevated that and has taken us to another level. So hopefully that continues, and I'm very much looking forward to what he can do with us come 2025, because I think his goal is also to get us a trophy. And hopefully that does in fact happen. But now, with this all being said, that brings to a close this episode of the Maple Footy Podcast. And stick around for next week and all the following weeks, because Prem recaps will be coming out thick and fast, baby. Because now it is crunch time, not even crunch time, just December time of the season. And that means games every friggin' day of the week, I think. So keep up with this channel, please, because the Prem recaps will still be coming, and the Maple starts will still be coming. We'll still be covering the Canadian boys and what they're doing at club level. And yeah, follow me everywhere. You know what to do. You know the drill. So yeah, with all that being said, thank you so much for listening. If you've listened this far, thank you for the support if you've been supporting. And if this was your first episode, I hope you enjoyed it, And yeah, just thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. Cheers, everyone.
And that was your Maple Footy Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Check my socials for any and all future updates at Official Sam Little on Instagram, where I am most active. And until next time, live, laugh, little.